and definitely had some rough times along the way, like anybody else. There's highs and lows, and that's the thing about the fun life of an entrepreneur. Learning not to give up, I think, is what it comes down to, and knowing that you have to be committed, and you have to have that vision to see where you want to be, and keep going at it. I get attached to people, and it's hard for me to make those changes sometimes.
Yeah.
And so if I can, and if I can educate them and teach them and bring them up with me, I like doing that, because it's tough to rebuild trust and find another person. I think that there's a lot to be said for that. I try to do that, but if I can't, then and if I know they don't have the capability of going to the next level, then you got to make the change. I just remember thinking you were a real smart ass punk.
I was. I still am. I absolutely was. All right, I'm stealing it. Michael Hinderer. Many of you know this guy. He is a leader in our industry. To say that honestly is an understatement. I call him the Prince of Pressure Washing. If you have been around pressure washing longer than 5 seconds, you know who he is. And happy to call him a friend. We've known each other a long time, so I want to introduce Michael Hinderer.
There we go. All right.
See, I just don't have it. It's that Texas slang. I don't know, man. That's much better than my version.
Yeah, I saw you open up the other day with that, and then he said, I don't want to do the third one, but and I stole it from Matthew McConaughey, obviously.
I don't think so. He doesn't have half the swag that Michael Hinderer has.
Yeah, but you know what? To kind of give you a little background on that and why I did it is because as I would travel, people would say, "You sound familiar," and they go, "Oh, you sound like Matthew McConaughey," and I'm like, "Well, I wish I had his looks, but."
Well, maybe not so much anymore. I don't know.
Yeah,
Matthew, if you're watching this, you're not aging.
Yeah.
So, Michael Hinderer, where do we start? Obviously, you're royalty in the pressure washing industry. So, give us a little bit of your background and who you are and where you come from. And
no, I was born in Wichita, Kansas. It's pretty cool. I was pretty fortunate. I was raised into the industry basically from its infancy. My dad started in the power washing industry in Wichita, Kansas. I always think it's a cool story because he was an engineer by profession, and he decided he wanted to get into something else. He wanted to leave that space. And he worked for a guy for 6 months on the weekends learning how to power wash. Back then, the pumps they use are what they use in the oil field industry. And they were 30 to 40 gallons a minute at 500 or 600 PSI. So basically the same blasting power what we have today, but at much higher volume. But I've watched the industry evolve, and I remember as a little kid, I wanted to go out on the truck with my dad and wash with him. And every now and then he would take me, and he'd be like, and any man can relate to this. As a little boy, you can't stay still. You got to run all over. And I'm sure you take your kids with you sometimes, and you just trying to keep them herded. It's like herding cats. So that's kind of how it was. But, so I grew up in it, and it was very opportunistically for me was there weren't many other avenues I could go and be as successful as I was with power washing. And so if I'm being honest, I did it for several years and absolutely was like, when I can get my degree, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And though I got it, and when I got it, I was like, no, this is really where I'm at. And I just really started focusing on getting, like, growing my fleet washing business. Eventually got into kitchen exhaust cleaning, and eventually I bought my dad out. And that's what powerwash.com is, and Steamaway's the fleet washing, and Facilitech Southwest is the kitchen exhaust cleaning arm. And they're all separate entities, and we're probably around somewhere between, I would say we're pretty close to about 80 employees right now. There's one time we were close to 100, but then you had COVID hit and all that, and we went down lower than that, but we're kind of back up to that space now. So if you want to, like, put some numbers to it in a nutshell, like about 10 million in sales altogether, that's what we do here. Love to keep growing that and expand more, and that's what I'm working on now. So cool stuff. And definitely had some rough times along the way, like anybody else. There's highs and lows, and that's the thing about the fun life of an entrepreneur. learning not to give up, I think, is what it comes down to, and knowing that you have to be committed, and you have to have that vision to see where you want to be, and keep going at it.
Yeah. They say you need to know your why, because when it gets tough, you've got to be able to find the focus and the drive to keep pushing through, even when it's miserable. Right.
Yeah.
For sure. So what is your why? What do you have a why? Do you have something you bounce back to on a?
Absolutely. I feel very fortunate because at a young age I knew, and not all men or even women know where they want to go with their lives, other than they just want to be somewhere. But for me, my purpose was I always want to have a family and I always want to have kids. And so I was looking for being that provider, being able to have and get to a certain point before I had kids so I could provide well for them. And that drove me a lot. And I remember looking back and realizing one day that was my why, because I just was doing that for a long time.
Right.
And somebody had mentioned that to me, and I'm like, I don't have a why. But then I realized, like, that's my why. And for most men, I would say that is their why. That's why they do it. Like when we do classes here and we do teaching at Power Wash Academy, and I talk about 5 things I learned as an entrepreneur. I like to say, anybody in here that's in this class because as a little kid you wanted to grow up and wash trucks, or you wanted to grow up and clean kitchen exhaust systems, raise your hand. Nobody raises their hand.
Of course not.
I might have been the small exception because I thought it was cool as a little kid because I saw my dad do it. And I thought, I get big muscles and I show my bicep off when I'm washing the truck, that kind of thing. But no one really knew about it. And I would be surprised if anybody thinks that that's really what they want to do when they grow up. That's not a purpose. There's not anything to it. But being a business owner fulfills your purpose, and it creates that opportunity and that achievement for getting things that you want and being able to provide for your family and your spouse and your partner that way, so that you do get that happiness and fulfillment in your life and you have that purpose. Because without purpose, like nobody, that's why probably one of the biggest problems with our population is people want, but they don't see their purpose.
Right.
It creates a lot of pressure.
So knowing your why, having that vision, it gives you the freedom to rely on discipline when your heart's not in it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I have those days. And sometimes, and my wife, God bless her, she knows when those days are coming, right? Yeah. And we have a good enough relationship where I can bring it up. I can say, babe, just you need to know I'm not in a good place. Yeah. This is not going to last as long as it used to. I've gotten better at coping and refocusing and driving my attention towards my why and going through the process, right? You just do it anyway. You wake up and you do it anyway. And then a week later, you might wake up and be like, you know what? I love what I do. Right now, you just have to eat crow and go to work.
I would say that I have, over the years, I've gotten better at that.
It's a learned skill for sure.
Yes. You're able to segregate your thoughts better, especially when you're young. It becomes far more challenging to do that. I do remember, I just recently did this little video, and let me see if I can make this. I can't. Well, I was going to show it. I don't have it here. But it was it's this little symbol that's a 1 and an M. And I put it all over the place. I put it in my house. It's on my laptop right here. And I would hold that up and show it, but I'll have to disconnect it. But it's about that big. And I've got it on my water. It's not on this water bottle, but I got water bottles. I put it on the dash of my truck. It's in my house. But it just brings me back to remind me of what my goals are and stuff, so I can do those achievements and get there. Because your mind wanders so much. Me and you were talking about this yesterday, ADHD. But I'll go off track so fast. But it pulls me back and reminds me where I want to be and where I want to get, so I can achieve the things I want to achieve.
So what's 1M?
I can't tell you that.
Got it. Well, I've got a 1M story. I've got a 1M story. There's my 1M.
There you go.
There you go. From Clean Image Pressure Washing to Trevor Steel for $1 million. There
you go.
I'm going to cash that one day.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I want the business to be worth way more than that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just something that I keep in the front of my, my daily activities book. And my 1M is probably a little bit different than yours, but
very similar those, because it keeps reminding you and pulling your mind back on track to get to that. Now, there's a reason why I don't share it. And it's because if I do share it, I get that dopamine feeling of it's like I've achieved.
Yeah.
I want to achieve it. So I want to keep it, and I want to save that and make it, like, force myself to get there. And then get recognized for it, that, hey, I got it. I made it. Now I'm here. Now I can get that dopamine rush.
That's right. I love that.
Yeah.
Going a little deeper into it. This is what you were talking about, the learned skill of acquiring that. Common or conventional wisdom tells you to tell everybody about it and have them hold you accountable. And and I'm with you. I believe in working in silence and making your announcements when it's done. And that feels good. That feels really good.
It does feel real good. I kind of learned that when I was in high school. It wasn't something that anybody taught me, but I learned later on because people, became a fad to announce, like, I'm making my public call. I'm calling my shot, so to speak. And there are people that do that, and they do well with it because they need support, or they want support. I shouldn't say they need it. And some people do better with it than others. But for me, that wasn't something that worked good for me. And I'll do a real quick story about how I came by it. Was when I was in ninth grade in high school, I was a beanpole. And not only that, I ran with the wrong crowd. So it's okay today, but back then it was pretty frowned upon if you smoked marijuana or anything. Well, I did back in my ninth grade years. And I wanted to change. I wanted to be a different person. So I got away from that. And I started. At first, I kind of would tell people, like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I wanted to change friends groups. And then I just finally said, you know what I noticed is that the people who are getting where they want to be, they don't talk about it. They just do it. And people recognize it, that they're doing it. And then they compliment them on it. So I just started shutting my mouth and just started doing and started listening and moving myself in those directions. And it did take a couple of years. But by the time I was a senior, I became a senior, like, I would tell people what I was when I was in ninth grade, and they were like, there's no way. Like, I could never see you as being that person because I had changed so much. And it was rare that came up in a conversation, but they're like, why? What were you doing in ninth grade? And I would tell them, they're like, no way. I can't visualize that.
Yeah. I think I have a lot in common there. I grew up in a very small town, Pawleys Island, South Carolina. And thank God there was no social media when I was younger.
Oh my gosh.
It would have ruined me. I would have been ruined. And for those in my town that knew me back then, they know what I'm talking about.
So I would venture to say that most entrepreneurs would fall into that category.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like, when they were young, they were just wild, and they were just.
So why is that? Why is that?
I think it's because we question everything, and we want our independence, and we're just of that mindset of we want to experience life. We just want to find out for ourselves. And this is, and I shouldn't say this, but it's true.
Say it.
And I had my dad to lead me in business on a lot of things that had to do with power washing. He had staff that could tell me things. I can't tell you how many times I would go get a job. I wouldn't ask him for anything. I would just go do it. And I had I could see how I could get it done, but I wouldn't ask him for his expertise. Like, how could I do it faster? How could I do it better? I would just go out there and learn on my own. And one day I was like, why don't I ask my dad that? And I was just like, I just like knowing that I can do it and I don't need anybody's help.
That's right. Yeah, there's a certain mindset among entrepreneurs. It's the same reason I was so stubborn in the beginning, the first 10, 15 years of business. It was like, I'm doing it all. Yeah. I'm going to do everything except the work. I was always able to find it. Yeah. But, like the marketing, the websites, the graphics, the logo, I'm doing all of it. And if I don't know how to do it, I'm going to learn how to do it. And that's going to be a torture to myself and everybody around me because I'm that stubborn that I'm going to see it through. Right. And so that served me well in a lot of ways. And I think it does for most business owners. But man, you get to a point where, stubborn arrogance can only carry you so far until you have to start letting people into the circle and bury yourself. Yeah.
I felt that overwhelming defeat when you said that, because you have to get to that point where you realize, like, I can't get any bigger. I can't expand anymore.
You're the ceiling.
Yeah.
And
your ceiling will continue to change. So, and I don't know if people always understand that. Like, just because you've decided at this phase that you're going to start doing these things, you will eventually cap out that ceiling. And then you've got to figure out how to take it to the next level. There's something referred to as the Peterson's rule. And I don't know it that well, other than people will always grow to the point where of their capabilities, or they'll grow till they fail.
Right.
And the point is that when you get to that spot of failure and you've grown there, is to have enough self-awareness to realize that you're failing and that you may need help, or you've got to change in some way, either through education or expanding your capabilities or handing things off to somebody else. That just talking about that makes me like, oh my gosh, I hate that feeling because I cannot stand failing. I like to win. I like to be successful, and it makes me crazy when I'm not.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. We talked a little bit about my story before jumping on live here, and we talked about the buyout from before. It's funny because one of the sayings that I use most often came from the guy that bought me out. And it's so ironic because he said, the people that got you here will not be the people that get you there. Of course, I've heard that so many times since then.
Yeah.
2015, 16. And I just think to myself, well, he was right about that.
Yeah.
But it's the same concept, right? It's what got you here is only going to get you here. And if you don't have the freedom and people in place to help you facilitate your dream, then you won't have the time to learn and raise your ceiling. So that's part of, once you hit that ceiling, if you're the person doing all the work, well, guess what? You're tapped out until you find a way to free up some of your time and learn and raise your bar. That's just the way it is.
I'm looking for a book, but I don't see it. The author is Steve Coffey, and he is me and a few other guys brought him in to do a presentation to us here. But he's talking about getting private equity to invest in your company and to grow the company. And I do not know what the heck I did with that book because I would hold it up and show you. But regardless, the point is when he does this and he starts to bring, like at the time, and he may have done something like this, but what he did do, because I think he was looking at doing it in the power washing industry. But what he did do is he did this in the, it's called, I think the name of the company, he got wash.com or something for that name. But it had to do with laundromats. Yes, laundromats. And he did this buyout and he pulled all this together. But as he started doing it and he started rolling up and rolling up and rolling up, and all these levels of rolling up, you do another buyout, do another sell to the next private equity group. Mm-hmm. You have to have so much in sales to get there and so much in profitability and things like that, which the laundromat business has huge potential and profitability, like it kills our industry. But regardless, he did that. And as he did it, he talked about each one of these phases is a different group of people that get you there to the next phase. And then it's another group of people. And he was very upfront about it. And he had a military background. So he's very regiment about what he's doing. I said that wrong, but
regimented, rigid and regimented at the same time.
Yes, there you go. Thank you. Regimented. About his process. And you can tell it when he says it. He's very absolute. This is the way it is, the way it's going to happen. And so he had that very good leadership skill to take this and go to those levels and bring on the right people to sit in the right seats in the bus. And I think I have found, and I don't think I'm segueing too far off the subject, but I get attached to people. And it's hard for me to make those changes sometimes.
Yeah.
And so if I can educate them and teach them and bring them up with me, I like doing that because it's tough to rebuild trust and find another person. I think that there's a lot to be said for that. I try to do that, but if I can't, then and if I know they don't have the capability of going to the next level, then you got to make the change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the tough part of business.
It is. The first time I had that happen to me is I had a mechanic that hired on with me really early, and he would help me power wash and stuff too. He was Hispanic. It was, golly, it had to be 25, 30 years ago when I first hired him, if that goes to show how long I've been in business. I think I'm coming up on 40 years as a contract cleaner. Yeah, but regardless.
I'm coming up on 40 years too.
Yeah.
Age.
Yeah. So he he used to I threw in Hispanic because he would say, and he could never say my last name right. He'd go, Highlander, you're the only person I know that can work as hard as a Mexican. And I just always remember it. Highlander. It just made me laugh because he would say that. Like he goes, when you're in the summer and you got a tan, you know what? If you go back to Mexico, you get a young senorita and you can live like a king. He was always saying that. But anyway, we had that bond. And I mean, me and his family would get together, we'd hang out, and I had a good time. But I knew he didn't respect processes and procedures. And he always wanted to cut corners. I knew at some point I would outgrow him and my company would, and we would have to part ways. I just knew it. That was very challenging for both of us. One day I fired him. He broke down and started crying, and he was hugging me like, I'm sorry, I'm going to change. And so I forgave him, and we went back, and it was 2 months later, he was doing the same stuff again.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was getting ready to do the same thing, and he just walked in and says, I quit. I go, yeah, I understand. We got to part ways. And unfortunately, I didn't know how to handle those type of like roll-ups and stuff that well back then. So like that ended our friendship too.
Of course. But
I've learned over the years that, how to approach that better and encourage, people that I like, to go on to better things or to find something that makes them happier, because I've learned from other people and listened to how they handle those situations. So it's become a lot better. Not every exit has to be a bad thing. It can be a good thing. And generally when people exit, I'm able to find a replacement at a better level or,
I've
look to
found that
to the next level.
Yeah, I've definitely found that. You finally have the awkward moment, right?
Yeah.
You sit down with this person and it's almost like a sense of relief in both shoes, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, wow, this guy, we were both thinking the same way here, and it just wasn't a good fit anymore, and it's okay. Yeah. I still love you. It's time to move on. And there's a sense of relief for everybody.
And I tell you what helps a lot too is I did it for a while. I was doing performance reviews every quarter. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to do it with your technician level, but if you're a smaller company, I would. But this is for like my managers and stuff. And so but a quarter was too much. So we changed it to every 6 months, which seems to be pretty good. But what I like to do is I have all the things that we're going to do on the review, and they have it too. And you both sit down and fill it out. And then you have the reveal in front of each other.
Right.
And what that does is it keeps either one of you from kind of letting the other one take the lead and follow. It forces you to kind of match up, are my expectations way up here and yours are here? Or are you thinking you're performing up here and I'm thinking you're performing way down here?
Yeah.
So that I found that really helps a lot, and it doesn't get to that point, because when you get so far off and you're not having any communication about it, it's like just the everyday interaction is almost confrontational.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I did our first lead tech report card 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And be careful what I say here.
I get it.
One of them came in and we were doing the same thing. I would fill out the report card. I would answer the questions as if I were the boss reviewing his production, and he would do the same thing for himself. Right. Well, he came in for the review and quit.
Oh.
Yeah. And this is after I get the review, right? It automatically is sent to me. So I think, he was going through his own review and essentially was like, I don't know if this is the, the questions were posed in a way that would clearly show you that this isn't working out if your answer isn't right. And so it made a very awkward situation, because there was something coming down the line for me, that I didn't want to have to do. Yeah. And so it was an interesting meeting, but it, like you said, accountability and being honest with each other about where we stand. Where do you think you stand? This is where I see you, So some of the questions would be like, rate your efficiency on a scale of 1 to 10, or even better, rate your procedure mapping skills, right?
Yeah.
Between 1 and 10. And most of them would say, 7, 8. But his was a 3.
Oh, so he knew. Yeah.
He knew it. I knew it. I said, well, I think you're more like a 1. That's just how you play it out. And then by the end of the conversation, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you a 2-part question.
Okay.
Which business occupies the most of your time? And if you can answer this one, which business do you like spending your time on without upsetting anybody in your?
Yeah. No. I would say that since when I got it from my dad, powerwash.com now, it wasn't at the time. There were some issues with it, and it occupied a lot of my time. I really didn't need it when I got it. I was doing quite well on the contract cleaning side, but I felt kind of obligated to my father, because that was always his plan, was for me to take it over someday. So I did, I kind of got into it. So it ate up a lot of time. And I quickly found that I was putting full time my energy into it and just kind of letting the contract cleaning businesses do what they did. And I had decent people in place to do that. But that's still probably over the last 2 years, I've changed that quite a bit. So for the last 10 years, that's where it's been. It's been really focused on that. So over the last 2 years, I've been changing my focus. I brought in a CEO to run powerwash.com. Just recently hired a real good marketing guy into a position there too. And then I have been giving more time back to my truck washing and kitchen exhaust cleaning businesses. I enjoy the contract cleaning side of things. I enjoy doing that side of it. If you look at the scope of things that go along with what you can do in the industry and being on the distribution side and the product side and all that, it's vastly more expansive than it is, hey, I'm going to go do these customers with the fleet washing account and the kitchen exhaust cleaning accounts, and it's easier to wrap my head around that. It's easier to train people in those spaces. Yeah. And I feel like it's a lot more scalable for me. And that doesn't mean that other side can't scale really fast too. But what I'm also finding is that in this stage of the industry, the influx of people that are coming into the space is almost like I thought it would start to curve. I think it'll start to curve, either after this year or next year, because the saturation within the population of people understanding and knowing what power washing will be reached. And once that happens, then the people that have come into it and they've gotten like YouTube education, or they've gotten paid for education to get going, or they've done it at their house, they have enough experience around it to realize that it's like any other business. You're going to go into it and you're going to have to really be dedicated at it if you want to be successful, or it's something that those that have achieved and done well have to work at it, and they realize it takes hard work to get there. It's not like some of the YouTube gurus that like to say, oh, I'm going to make $2,000 in an hour or in 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. But what went into all that before you got there? Right. I know I sidetracked.
No, I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's we talked about private equity briefly. I'm paying attention to private equity. Can you hear my stomach growling? It's crazy right now. I need to eat.
It is lunchtime.
But private equity, everybody, well, maybe not everybody, but there's a lot of attention in the home services industry right now.
Yes, a lot. Do you know why that is?
I do. I want to hear your version though.
Okay. I kind of understand it now. It's because of AI, from what I understand.
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
AI is disrupting so many industries, but in the service industry, it's being less disruptive. And so there's more opportunity for long-term investments in the service industry. And I would say not just home service industry, but just any service industry. But home service definitely has a lot of attention because population is growing, homes are growing, and all that. So AI is being extremely disruptive.
It hit the electrical industry. It hit HVAC, plumbing, roofing, construction. These specialty trades. That industry has been, for lack of a better term, rolled up rapidly by billion-dollar equity funds. And what they're doing, I'm sure but maybe the audience doesn't know the full extent. They're buying up small $1 to $2, sometimes up to $10 million service companies and rolling them in-house. And I won't go into the ups and downs of that, but there's a lot of millionaires being made overnight right now in the home service industry. The one industry that it hasn't quite reached yet is ours, but pay attention. There's people making moves right now as we speak. People that you and I know.
There are some challenges for them and for those in our space, but there are people making moves right now. You're absolutely right. There's been some like phenomenally big sales already, even before AI really took off.
Right.
PPW, whatever, the group that bought them went for like $90 million. Like that's the biggest.
Sparkle Wash, right? Wasn't it Sparkle Wash that bought them?
No, well, it could have been, but I think it's Jayco is the group that bought them. Okay. I could be wrong. But I know PPW or the letters, and I Perfect Pressure Wash or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember him. He was around when we had actual bulletin boards. Remember those?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. And I think he might have been, I'm not sure, he might have been a board of director on PWNA when I was the last time, or in that group, my last year in that position. But regardless, yeah, that was a big sell. But he was doing a lot of work, really focused and all over. But the challenge I see for these roll-up groups is the fragmentation of the industry. I don't think is ever going to go away. And the reason I say it, there's a reason behind that, is because there are too many, when you have decision makers that are mom and pop, they get to make the choice to buy. And it's so easy to go get a power washer and get into the industry.
Yeah.
It's not like roofing, where the bulk of your roofing contracts can come from an insurance claim or a builder or something like that. You still have replacements of roofs that happen, but they generally end up happening during some storm event anymore. It's not the same. HVAC is similar too. I mean, you've got to have, of course, changing a roof, it doesn't take, you go buy shingles and change it. So it's kind of like power washing there, but it's getting the business on the other side that makes that different. HVAC, you need qualified, trained technicians to do HVAC work, not so much in power washing.
So I say this a lot. The pressure washing industry is still a mom and pop industry. For that reason alone, it's built for them, right? It's scaling a pressure washing company is extremely challenging. And Dan Plata calls it the purgatory. I'm sure you know Dan, right? And there are different levels of purgatory. You have the $500,000 mark. Once you hit that $500,000 mark, it's really difficult to get past it. And then you do the $1 million mark. It's really difficult to get past that. There's reasons for this. It's because your competitors are mom and pops. Yeah. And if they do $180,000 a year and they're still on the truck, they're making good money. So
here's something that I do see BuyUps being able to work, and why they could work is their ability to procure help to do the service.
Yes. Great example.
Yeah. Their ability to procure help and work to come and do the service is going to
benefits, the 401ks, the insurance benefits, all the things that mom and pops can't offer.
Right.
Because AI is going to be replacing the professional.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. Attorneys are in trouble. Doctors are in trouble. Yep. When I can go on to ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, these are my symptoms. I don't feel good. What's going on? What should I do? And ChatGPT will have an answer. You have the common cold. You should take this every 3 hours, right? Professional people are going to be looking for work. Where do you think they're going to go? They don't know anything other than the thing they've done. So they're going to be buying pressure washing rigs from powerwash.com and turning into weekend warriors, right? That's what's going to happen. But that weekend warrior, the consumer is going to pick up on that. Number one, they're going to recognize that. The consumer's going to start buying according to brand recognition much stronger. And that's coming from Michael Gregory. He says brand recognition is going to play a major role in consumer activity. And like you said, recruitment and hiring people, if you're not in place, secured, and able to offer benefits by the time all of this unrolls, you're just going to be stuck at a mom and pop. That's what I believe. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yes. Right. You'll just be an owner operator,
which is okay.
Or maybe to have, I say just like it's a bad thing. I don't mean it as a bad thing.
Of course not.
Because there are definitely people who enjoy being in that space. And there's others that want to grow and expand for whatever reasons. That's and believe me, and there was a time when I was like, I'm tired.
Everybody.
I just want to work by myself.
Everybody who's ever tried to scale anything has thought that.
Yeah. Sure. But it's not just the benefits that you're able to offer. It's the ability to cast a broad enough net to bring in enough people and to scale that in. And that's where AI is going to be. And if you can't afford the AI and the products to do that, to bring in those people, to get efficient at finding the right individuals to bring onto your team, it's going to be extremely challenging because, and anybody that's in the service industry, trying to find laborers that are dedicated and want to do it and are raised with good set of values to be employed is becoming extremely challenging because, and then I'm segue again, the breakdown of the family in Western culture is just like unbelievable. What seems to be cool and what the media tells and what's in the songs that they listen to just is decaying and undermining the fabric of our culture for people to be successful and to live happy lives. I think it's glorified to do things that are extremely negative to yourself and to your neighbor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you're watching this and you're wanting to know more about AI and kind of the trajectory from industry experts, you should check out the last episode 9 with the 2 Michaels in a row. I'm on a row. I need a third Michael. Who wants to be up?
There you go.
Anyway, check out Michael Gregory, the episode 9 podcast on Through the Noise, man. He really dove into that and shed some insight.
He's very sharp. I've actually referred to Michael Gregory on some things just recently for some insight, because he understands the space very well.
Yeah, he seems to be on the forefront, and he's taking it very seriously because, I mean, let's face it, he's in digital marketing. What's going to happen in 3 years?
Yeah.
He's in a rough place in 3 years.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a fractional CFO, call my buddy Justin Boyd.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Boyd Executive Consulting.
I was just talking to him the other day, actually.
Yeah, he's my boy. He's my CFO for the washing business.
Yeah.
He's fantastic and so smart.
That's good. That's real good. I had somebody else I was working with already, so I ended up going another direction. But if it doesn't work out there, he's definitely my backup plan.
Good. I think you can tell him that I encouraged you.
Yeah. Okay.
If it ever happens, and then maybe I can get pat on the back. So powerwash.com is a juggernaut. Let's spend some time talking about this. Well, maybe it's not your juggernaut, but it certainly has the appearance of being the juggernaut in business you own. Is that?
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, there's so many aspects to it. You know, you got the training side of it, you got the development of equipment and the procurement of products and the marketing and all that. It does. It consumes a lot of time. And yeah, I think I really underestimated it when I took it over from my dad. That was crazy. So
what year was that?
2010. When
I remember it. I was going to guess that. I remember when you did that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Where did we meet? Where did we meet?
I think we met at a PWNA event. I think could have been UAMCC in 2009 down in Florida in Orlando. But Carlos had first put that first event together down.
Yeah, I didn't go to that one. I mean, I was on the board of directors, but I didn't go.
Okay.
Anyway, I
just remember thinking you were a real smart ass punk.
I was. I still am. I absolutely was. You know, it's funny because, I started Fleet Wash Academy, which I thought was the coolest thing in the world. Like me, I started a bulletin board, but Blaine bought that from me when I
didn't realize you started that.
Yeah, you did. You just forgot. I was the punk kid that was like, "Hey, remember me? I'm coming for you." I probably did tell you that.
Yeah, I think you probably did say that. Yeah.
You're not a fleet washer. I'm coming for you. But I hated fleet washing. Hated it.
Oh, a lot of people do, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I was still in the field then, so maybe that's why I hated it so much. But how can you ask somebody to do something that you hate doing? I struggled with that.
I love that you just said that, because it comes from a place where, as a leader, and I'll answer this question in a minute. You cannot sell. If you can't sell from a place of authenticity, then you can't lead, you can't sell, you can't be a good parent. It's just like, if you can't be authentic, then you can't do it. And I was, and I've heard it said before, if I don't believe in a product or I don't believe in something, like, how can I do it? Mm-hmm. One is, some people can push through and they can kind of make themselves believe a little bit, but they really don't buy it. But I like what I heard the other day, just this quick little clip I saw on TikTok. And the announcer, he was up in front of a bunch of people. He said they did this study in Germany. I think it was called the Stern study, where they put people in this space where they can measure frequencies. Like, there are no other radio signals or anything that get in this room. So they measure frequencies. And the one behavior that emitted the most frequency was that when your mind was in a state of authenticity. And if you think about that, like if you learn to be honest, if you it can find a way to be honest so that you don't lie, your mind can connect thoughts much better, you project much better, You're in a happier space because you know you're not trying to hide. Your mind's not thinking about all those things anymore, right? So you're being so authentic. People are attracted to that authenticity. And when I heard that, I was like, man, that it just makes so much sense, because that's the thing. And I have heard people say this a couple other times in my life, is to be authentic, and that's that, authenticity is the most attractive thing you can have to draw people to you. And, even a charismatic speaker, man, if they're being authentic and they're pushing and they're believing in what they say. So, and I remember like when PWA first started, when I would talk about fleet washing, because I was nervous as hell. Golly, God, I was so nervous back then. I was nervous wreck all the time. But I would get up and I would talk about fleet washing, but I believed in it so much about what I was telling, what I was trying to teach people. The audience was so engaged with what I said. And afterwards, the board of directors or people that were helping with the event would go like, man, when the energy in the room changes so much when you've done some of those presentations, because I was just being so authentic. Yeah, I remember those now, and how great it was to have that feeling, just even from the stage, to get that energy back from.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. One of my slogans is for branding in particular: when your core values authentically align with your brand, marketing, and actions, you become a trusted authority in your field. And it's true. If your core values don't align with the brand you're building, and for some reason that those core values aren't who you really truly are, or your branding is not who you really truly are, people will pick up on it. Your employees will pick up on it. Yep. Your clients will pick up on it. Your friends will pick up on it, and they'll all know you're a fraud. So you have to be real with yourself. And that's why maybe it's all connected. Maybe that's why the vibrations frequency is more authentic. I don't know.
I call it kooky hippie stuff, but there's nothing wrong with it.
We're learning so many things at such a rapid pace right now that,
oh gosh. Yes.
I mean, who knows anymore? It could all be vibrations. Maybe everything's energy and vibrations. Maybe Bob Marley had it right. Yeah.
So the guy posted about my trip to the Philippines.
Yeah.
So man, I just gotta say it was phenomenal. It was a great experience for me, because I've never been that far away from the U.S. Literally, it's on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
That Manila was 13 hours ahead of us here in this time zone. So obviously, 12 is the perfect number, but basically it's on the other side of the world. And I don't know how much different that could be. So the time adjustment was a big deal. Like, I've gone to Europe before, and that wasn't too bad, but that one it took me like 3 or 4 days to get adjusted to it. And I was only going to stay for 2 weeks, but the backstory is, and my daughter's 22, and over Thanksgiving, she decided that she wanted to go to Taiwan for a week because she wanted to see if she could handle traveling abroad by herself. So she goes, she does it. I get a few calls, so I'm the supportive dad, like, calm down, it'll be all right, just think about it, So she went there, and while she was there, she decided she wanted to do more of that. And when she came back, about a week or two later, she says, Dad, I'm going to move out of the country, and I think I'm going to go to the Philippines and live in Manila. And I was like, what? and she was shocked. She goes, she thought I would be very encouraging, because I've always, like, from a very early age, have taught her, like, we're not going to live our lives through a TV set or through other people. We're going to experience life. And once you experience life, go out and do things, engage with people, engage with nature, do that. Don't just be vicariously living. I don't want you to do that. And so in a nutshell, those have been all, I've encouraged her to do things and pushed her to do things. So when she said that to me at first, me being a selfish dad, I don't want my daughter on the other side of the world because I'm going to miss her. It had to sink in first with what I had always been teaching her. I was like, you know what, as a parent, I need to reapproach this. Like, how can I support her now? And I got to get past what I feel and do what's best for her. Yeah. So it was a growing parenting moment for me.
So is she going through with it?
She's there. She's there right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So then I was like, all right, what do I need? What can I do? All right, where are you going to live? How are you going to live there? And all that kind of stuff. So she works remotely for me. She was working for me here. She works remotely there on a part-time basis. And she wants to start a little marketing agency down there. So she's going for it. So I love the entrepreneurial spirit that she has. So she's down there doing that now. And
I mean, she couldn't be in a better place for that, right? I mean,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Philippines are loaded with marketing geniuses that are working for a third of the cost.
Right. The main reason she picked it, because when she was Taiwan, like you hear that, and then usually when you go places, like there's people around speaking English. When she got there, if there was somebody that speak English, she couldn't even understand them. So she was having to use her phone and doing translate and type something in and send it to them. So when she was out doing orders and stuff, just working her way through the process. So she wanted to go there because English is their second language there, and there's a lot of English speaking. And when I was there, she did a better job of understanding than I did. And I just recently got hearing aids because of my hearing damage from all my gun shooting and fireworks as a kid. It finally caught up to me. And I wouldn't change any of that. I had too much fun. So it was a challenge to hear some of their accents that I wasn't accustomed to listening to, but she did pretty good with it. Mm-hmm. So primarily it was Asian culture. She's always liked Asian culture, and then they spoke English. So that was her number one reason for going there. But then the marketing became a second thing, and being able to work remote. And then the cost of living was so much cheaper than it is here. She knew that if she worked part-time for me, that would cover a majority of her living expenses. So she'd be all right.
I mean,
so that's how that happened.
Surface face value, it's brilliant. It makes all the sense in the world. But as a father of two daughters, and I have but I've got two daughters, not a chance. You're a stronger, better man than me, because there's no way you're going on the other side of the world.
It wasn't easy. And her, I probably shouldn't say it, but her mom's family was not a fan at all. Yeah. And I don't blame them. I mean, I get it. I get it. But so about 3 weeks out, about 4 weeks out, I'm like, okay, did you find a place to stay at? She goes, well, I'm having a lot of trouble getting people to respond to me when I'm reaching out about apartments. And like I only have one person, and then they don't respond anymore. So I'm just going to have to figure it out when I get there. And I was like, what?
Oh my God.
So I said, all right. And so I gave it a couple of days, like, well, if she gets down there and has a lot of problems or something happens, God forbid, I'm never going to forgive myself. So I said, how would you like me to go? And she goes, well, you can if you want, but that's your decision. And she's being real coy. But but that next day or that afternoon after we talked, I could tell she was in a much better mood, because I said, I think I'm going to go. And I was like, all right, it's sold. She's not saying it, but her body language is screaming it like she wants me to go. She'll be a lot happier, and I'll be a lot happier.
For sure.
So we go down there. I ended up finding her place in a much better area than what she was looking. And I also said, well, this is what you have in your budget, but these places are nicer, so I'm going to help you a little bit.
Yeah, you should. That's
as a father would do. So I got her set up, got her in a place. It took longer than 2 weeks to get that going, and I had to extend my stay for another 5 days to finally get it. Because what happened in the Philippines is that they build all these big high-rise complexes and stuff. And as an American, I'm like, okay, that's an apartment complex. To my knowledge, there weren't any apartment complexes down there, or at least that we found. Everything were condos. And the first couple that we went to, like, they started trying to sell us a condo. And I even sat down at one of them because they were twisting their words. And I go, wait a minute, and then we're going to buy, and then we'll be paid for the condo. Yeah, that's right. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not looking to buy a condo. So we go off, we leave, and then I get on YouTube and I start doing my research. The next day I was like, all right, basically what we need to do is go find a condo to rent. And so you have to deal. So there are real estate agents that are looking to rent condos, and you can find an agent to help you find one, or just go to Facebook Marketplace, is what I learned in one of those YouTube videos, and started looking for them there. And that's how we found an agent on one condo, and then he had another one that was coming on the market. He took us to it, and that's the one we ended up getting. So now she's there for 6 months, and we gonna decide what she wants to do after that.
That's wild. I mean, that takes some courage to up and across the country as a young male.
Yeah.
Alone, right? No friends? Yeah, that's
alone.
You're a good man. So you're going to be making a lot of trips out to the Philippines, I take it.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be going back for sure. I actually enjoyed being there. There's a lot of retired folk that go out that direction. I found YouTube videos on that.
YouTube guru.
Yeah, right. And I was like, well, maybe I'll start doing YouTubes on how to get out there and how to plan to work remotely and everything. So we'll see where it goes. It's just
Could be a whole new business for me.
yeah. And I will say this: going out to eat, half the price of what it cost here for good meals and stuff. Half the price, no doubt.
Yeah.
But what I did see, because I thought, well, maybe like name brand products and things like that would be reduced as well, but they're very good. Like I got me another pair of sunglasses while I was there from Oakley, but when you do the transition and stuff back to US dollars, it's about almost spot on for what you would pay for it here. I saw some drones from DJI drones. I thought, well, maybe it's a better price here. That's about the same. Not really a big difference there in any name brand products, but anything that they build out there, they're putting together or that they have in their local economy, man, it's like much better price.
I bought a Mac computer for my VA in the Philippines, and I thought, oh, well, I'm going to get a deal because I'm going to be buying it from a local place and having it shipped here. Same deal. It was almost the exact same price.
Yeah,
as it is in the States, and I was shocked by that.
And if you're there, I would not. And anytime that you use an American credit card, that you want U.S. dollar or pesos, Philippine pesos, always do the peso, because whenever they do the U.S. dollar conversion, they add 2 or 3% to it on top of of that. So I started doing it. Like it was a big difference. A couple of times I didn't, and then I realized that wow, they tack it on.
Yeah, she saved me in that. She warned me about it and said, make sure you do that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad she did. But
yeah,
we're at 1 hour now. So
there you go.
I don't want to hold us too long, but
no, you lose your audience.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure for me, Michael. Yeah. I'm glad I know you. I'm glad I have had the opportunity to learn from you over the years. You're a true industry leader, and you're constantly giving back, even though you don't need to anymore, obviously. Yeah. So I appreciate you, and so many others do. Do you have any final words or anything you want to say?
Well, I leaned on this for several years, and I would encourage anybody else to lean on it too, and that is to never give up, never quit. I always like that. I heard that this didn't actually happen, but I'm going to believe that it did. When Winston Churchill was asked to do a presentation, he got up and he just said, never, never, never quit.
Yeah.
And he sat down. That may not be true, but I love that. That stuck with me forever. And always looking for new ways to make things happen and to achieve your goals. So, and now my thing is to be authentic. Authenticity, speak from your core, be truthful. And sometimes it's not easy to be truthful, but the amount of stress that will relieve is just like unbelievable. Yeah.
All right. Leave us with
and my last thing that I want to say is to you, and that is, from that young smart ass punk to what you are today. I absolutely think you've accomplished a lot. You've grown a lot. You've matured a lot. And I'm being a jerk when I say how you were, because
everybody watching this agrees with you, so you're okay.
Yeah. But and I remember, and because I'm relating myself to you, because you even said that earlier, like we had a lot of common. Mm-hmm. I remember moving from that space, because I was that young smart ass punk myself, and getting to that space of being a person. How good that feels to achieve and be in that position and to move and to grow. And if you don't make the choices to become better, you're never going to get better. And sometimes they're not easy to make. And sometimes you got to do a lot of stuff. Well, not sometimes. You're going to have to make some hard decisions. And you're going to have to change friend groups and things like that. But guess what? If that's when you realize what your purpose is and where you want to be, you can do it.
And when you realize that most of those decisions just take a few seconds of intense courage to take that step, and then your entire life changes.
Yep.
That's when you realize, I just have to muster up the energy to take that step, just one step. And then the power falls into your hands a little bit. Instead of overthinking it and spending all this time trying to dissect the what ifs, just take the step. Force your own hand. All right, give us a one last all right, and then we'll call it.
Here we go. All right. All right.
My man. Thanks, buddy. We'll see you.
Take care.